ENCLAPSലേക്കുള്ള വഴി ഇനി തനിയെ തുറക്കാം. Subscribe to the ENCLAPS channel. Ring the bell button and open success. It's that easy.
Hi. You are often familiar with the term energy, aren't you? Energy is the ability to do work. You might be familiar with different forms of energy. What are they? The ultimate source of energy is the sun. So, most importantly, solar energy. Kinetic energy, which is possessed by objects by virtue of its motion. Potential energy, which is possessed by objects by virtue of its state. Chemical energy, which is produced as a result of chemical reactions. Electrical energy, heat energy, light energy, sound energy, and the list goes on. It is said that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but can be transformed from one form to another. This is known as the law of conservation of energy. We know that most of the vehicles run on fossil fuels such as petrol or diesel. We have been using fossil fuels for many years to run vehicles efficiently, but as you may have noticed, there has been an influx of electric vehicles. What could be the reason for this huge shift? According to recent statistics, the only fossil fuels left on the earth are those that will last an average of 50 to 60 years. If energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, how can there be an energy crisis? Are existing energy sources sufficient to meet our energy needs? In this lesson, we will learn in detail about the various forms of energy available and how we can use them effectively for a better future. We are living in a world where technology is being updated day by day. This has brought many changes in our lifestyle too. Travel facilities have been updated from motorcycles to metro trains. Small homes have been replaced by multi-storied buildings. Populations has been increasing rapidly. What difference would have been brought to the energy consumption due to these changes? From which sources we are getting these forms of energy? We use different forms of energy from physical to electrical energy. We get these forms of energy from different sources like sun, fuels, and power stations. The lifestyle and the facilities had to be increased to keep it up with the human progress. This made it inevitable to transform the available energy from different sources to many other suitable forms. When energy is transformed from one form to another, some part of it gets lost in the other forms, such as loss is main cause for the energy crisis. An electric bulb can be taken as a simple example for this. The energy change happening in an electric bulb is that the electrical energy is converted into light energy. But the electric energy is not fully transforming into light energy. Some parts are lost as heat energy. Since our aim is to get light, the heat energy generated here can be taken as the energy loss. Different sources of energy are to be used for different activities. Judicious and scientific use of different energy sources without being wasted is a necessity of today. Now, let's examine different sources of energy. Fuels are one of the most commonly used energy sources. Probably, heat might have been the first form of energy created by ancient humans. Heat energy was formed from forest fires. Later, they made heat energy again by burning firewood. Hence, the first fuel might have been firewood itself. So, what do you mean by fuels? Fuels are substances that release plenty of heat energy on burning. The main source of energy that we make use of today are fuels. We use different fuels for different purposes, including for cooking in the kitchen. The fuels are classified into three: solids, liquids, and gases. Let's classify the non-fuels into these categories. Firewood is a solid fuel. In the past, trains used to run on coal. Coal is another type of solid fuel. In areas where firewood is not available, dry cow dung is widely used for cooking. This is also an example of solid fuel. You may have bought charcoal to make grilled chicken. Charcoal is another kind of solid fuel. Liquid fuels are the fuels which are in liquid state. We are familiar with many liquid fuels such as petrol, diesel and kerosene. We often use gas at home for cooking, which is LPG or liquefied petroleum gas. This comes under the category of gaseous fuels. CNG or compressed natural gas, biogas, coal gas are another examples of gaseous fuels. Do these fuels burn in a similar way? Let's do an experiment to find out. Take 3 papers of the same kind. Keep one of these papers stretched. Crumble the next and make the third paper wet using water. Burn each of them over a candle flame using pincers. The crumbled paper made more coal and smoke on burning. Here, the burning took place slowly and some parts of the paper remained unburned. In the case of a stretched paper, it burned rapidly and completely. Only a little smoke is formed here. Finally, on burning the wet paper, most of its parts remained unburned. Burning took place very slowly. Here also, smoke is formed. What are the conclusions can we draw from these experiments? What are the conditions favorable for the complete combustion of different fuels? The solid fuels must be dry. Liquid fuels must evaporate easily. The ignition temperature should be attained. Sufficient oxygen must be available for burning. So, what are the features of complete combustion? In case of a complete combustion, carbon monoxide is not formed. Carbon dioxide is formed during any combustion. CO is a toxic gas. If complete combustion occurs, CO does not form there. More heat is generated in complete combustion. Generally, a complete combustion is a reaction in which fuels react intensively with oxygen, producing carbon dioxide, steam, heat and light. If sufficient oxygen is not available, the rate of combustion decreases. If oxygen is not sufficient, large quantities of carbon monoxide, soot and a little carbon dioxide will be formed. This type of burning is partial combustion. If you recall, the combustion happened in the case of crumbled and wet papers are partial combustion. Partial combustion is caused by the inability of the combustion gases to escape and the combustible material does not reach the temperature required for combustion. So, what are the drawbacks of partial combustion? It can cause the loss of fuel, economics loss and as well as the time loss. And since carbon monoxide is a toxic gas, it causes breathing problems and atmospheric pollution as well. Carbon monoxide on breathing can reduce the oxygen carrying capacity of the lungs. So, if we use firewood for household cooking, its partial combustion may result in the release of carbon monoxide. Smokeless chulas are an alternative system that we use to prevent such problems. The smoke produced is emitted into the atmosphere through pipes connected to the stove and thereby preventing the chances to breathe these toxic gases. These smokeless stoves are also reduce the fuel loss and economic loss. We know that motor vehicles emit these toxic gases such as carbon monoxide to the atmosphere. So, the pollution test is conducted to know whether the components in the gases released from the vehicles exceeded the permissible limit. So, in this session, we have learned the type of fuels, types of combustion and the advantages and drawbacks of each of them. See you later.
3 ലക്ഷത്തിലേറെ വരുന്ന ചോദ്യോത്തരങ്ങൾ ഏറ്റവും കുറഞ്ഞ ചിലവിൽ സ്വന്തമാക്കുവാൻ ഉടൻ തന്നെ ഡൗൺലോഡ് ചെയ്യൂ ENCLAPS the Learning App.